Welcome to In 5 Minutes. Now we'll write a program to find sum of series. Now when you see it's a sum of series problem, just check the terms given in the series. There will be some sequence in the numbers. For example, here there is 3 by 7, 4 by 10, 5 by 13 and so on for n terms. The numerator is starting with 3 and incrementing every time by 1. So it is 3, 4, 5, 6 is a proper series of numbers. And at the bottom, that is at the denominator, we can see it is first denominator is 7 and then it is 10, 13, 16. So it is incrementing every time by 3. Now since it's a sum of multiple values, we need to have some summation variable initially set to 0. Now for numerator, we'll assume some variable, let's say x, that will be set to initially 3 and will increment every time by 1, that is 3, 4, 5. And for denominator, we'll assume one more variable, let's say y, set to 7 and increment every time by 3. And then every time we'll keep adding x upon y. We'll repeat the process of add x upon y, then increment x by 1 and increment y by 3. Again add x upon y to the sum, again increment x by 1 and y by 3. This process you have to repeat for n iterations. Now here we can see, since it is division of 3 by 7, 4 by 10, so x and y variables must be floating point variables, because if we define them as integers, the answer will result into zeros, and even the summation variable will be some decimal number, that is floating point number. So we need to define these variables as floating point numbers. Then to repeat this process of creating new variables, that is creating new terms and adding them for n iterations, we need to have a loop which works for n times. We need to input n from user to know how many terms to add, and to repeat it n times we need one more looping variable. So a program will start with normal hash include commands, then main. In that we need to define float x, y variables and summation variable. X initialized to 3, y initialized to 7. I and n for looping, and then some process you have to repeat. What process we'll be doing over here as discussed. First we'll do the sum of x upon y, that is sum is equal to sum plus x upon y. Then increment x by 1, that is x plus plus, and increment y by 3, that is y plus equal to 3. This process you have to repeat for n iterations, that is add x upon y, increment x by 1, increment y by 3, again add x upon y, then again increment x by 1 and y by 3. To repeat this for n iterations, we'll write a for loop I equal to 1, I less than equal to n, I plus plus. Now that I loop has nothing to do with the summation. It is just taking care that the process of addition and increment variables works for n iterations. Now obviously first we need to input n. So we'll write over here printf scanf. So first the program will start with inputting n, then n times addition will be done, and then finally we'll display the sum after the loop. Since the summation variable is floating point, we'll be displaying as %f. Let's see the program how it works with example values. Initially x is set to 3, y set to 7, sum is set to 0. Then we have n variable and one I variable. Let's say the program starts, n input is 4. Then the loop will start with I initialized to 1 and it works for first iteration. Sum is equal to sum plus, that is 0 plus 3 by 7. Then x plus plus, x becomes 4. Then y plus 3, y becomes 10. Again loop repeats, I becomes 2, loop repeats, sum is equal to sum plus, that is this plus 4 by 10. Again x plus plus, x becomes 5, y increments to 13. Again I plus plus, I becomes 3, and a loop repeats, that is sum is equal to sum plus, that is this much plus 5 by 13. Again x increments to 6, y increments to 16. I plus plus occurs, condition is true, loop goes inside and does sum is equal to sum plus 6 plus 16. Then again x increments to 7, y to 19, but this time I becomes 5 and the loop has false condition, so loop stops, and the printf prints the current sum, that is sum of all these values. Program will actually do the summation of these numbers 3 by 7, 4 by 10 and all, and display some number as a floating point number. Thank you.